From the top. Okay, so it was
Stallions.
The Stallions part 2. You got that part? All right. So I was with Angelique and Charlene. So we were just walking the other way towards the way with no people, and we walked past like the loud music, and so we were just walking, and then we decided to like walk back because we couldn't see any more people down like the beach. So we started walking back, and then like we saw this group of girls just like sitting on the side in like their hotels, and then Charlene was like, "Let's go talk to them." I was like, "Are you sure? They're kind of just like chilling out there, and like we can't even get in there because it's like fenced up."
Right.
And then she was like, "Didn't the guy say for us to call them out? You know, like from like."
This is Charlene talking?
Yeah, this is Charlene talking. So I was like, yeah. You want to go for it? I was like, yo, I'm scared of girls. So she's like, okay, I'll go for it. So she walked up to them, right? And she's like, hey, girls. The other girls just like look at her and then look back. I'm like, yo, how you guys doing? And they're trying like, what? So they start coming over, and then Charlene's like, you guys want to take a survey? I'm like, what? I can't hear you. I'm like, you guys want to take a survey? And then finally they come over, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you guys. And so we're like, yo, we got this quick survey. It's about like 5 questions, really quick. You guys want to take it? And they're like, sure. We ain't got nothing to do. So we just introduced ourselves, and we said we were from for this conference for Campus Crusade for Christ. And one of the girls, she was from University of Illinois. Her name was Haley, and she was like, yeah, I've heard about them. You know, like we have a couple people on our campus too. I was like, yo, that's awesome. And there's this her other friend. Her name was Lenny, I think. No, Larry. Oh my goodness, I can't remember. It started with the L. But anyways, so we were just talking, and apparently the Haley was Lutheran, and the other girl was Methodist. But then again, you know, like they were just like, yo, we just kind of like raised up there, but we don't really know much about it. And so we were just talking about it, and Charlene started going through the questions. And we were just kind of like talking, and so I started like asking, like I'm not too cool with like sticking straight out to the questionnaire because it makes things awkward sometimes. It was like, oh, you finished the question, all right, next question, you know? Like I'd rather go through like, oh, like she talked about that, can we talk more about that? But then like all of a sudden like I'm like talking, and Charlie's like, yo, Will, can I finish up the survey? So I was like, okay. So I backed off. I was like, all right, maybe this is God telling me to like, you know, just like this is a good time for me to just shut up and hang back. So like after that, I was like, all right, good for it. So I hung back, and I just like sat on the fence while Charlene talked to the girl. And I was just like sitting there and praying. And Charlene, she asked a question, you know, like, so you say you're Christian, but you know, do you know like, you know, that question where it says, do you know how to like lead someone else to Christ? And the girl's like, you know, talk to a pastor and stuff. And Charlene's like, you know, I think she said, like, is there any other way? And she was like, I don't know. But then she's like, oh, I have this booklet. Would you like to go through it? She was like, okay. But her friend, she was talking with us too. But then her friend's like, no, it's getting kind of cold. I'm gonna go back. But then Haley was like, oh, I guess I'll stick around. So I was like, oh snap, something's happening. So I was keep praying. I was like, no, God, please, you know, something's gonna happen here, you know. And Charlene was doing an amazing job. So I was like, good stuff. I should just shut up next time. I was like, let her talk. So she was going through the booklet, and this girl was just like, you know, going through all the questions, and she was like, you know, just going back and forth about the gospel, and you know, and they were talking about, and Charlene was like, oh, after the prayer part, you know, like she read through the prayer, and then she was like, Charlene thought she was like, you know, Christian since she says she's a Lutheran, but then I noticed that like she said she never heard of the prayer before in her life. Even though she went to like a Lutheran church or something. So, but then Charlene was like, oh, can we go through the rest of the book? And she was like, sure. I was like, oh my goodness. So I was like, keep praying. And then Charlene went through the rest of the book with her. And then at the end, Charlene was like, okay. I was like, wait a second. There's something wrong here. She said she didn't accept Christ yet, and we're finishing up. What is this? So I was starting to get nervous. I popped back in. And like Sharon's like, oh, all right, so yeah, we finished the book. I was like, oh wait, can I ask a question? Like, you know, you said, you know, like that you'd like Christ to be the center of your life, and you know, you mentioned that like you've never prayed this prayer before. I know that like she mentioned like Sharon asked like, oh, what would keep you from accepting Christ? She's like, oh, I never really like go to church anymore and stuff like that. So I was like, you don't really need to go to church as long as God's a part of your life. So so I was like, you don't really need to go to church first, because as long as you have God in your heart, He'll lead you to church and stuff. So we were like, Angelique popped in, we were talking about church and stuff, and I was at the end I was just asking her, like, you really just need God right now, and is it possible, like, would you like to pray this prayer and just like accept Him into your life? And she was like, yeah, should we do this right now? I was like, yeah, dude, definitely. So she was like, how do we do this? I was like, you can read through the book, or you just do it your own way, like, or you just pray on your own. And she was like, yeah, I'm just gonna read from the book then. And so we were just like, she was like, all right, I'm gonna do this now. And she just like opened the book, she just like prayed the words aloud, and afterwards she just said like, amen. And we were just like, oh snap. And we just kind of like,
That's awesome.
yeah, we were just going back and forth about like, just, so we traded like contact info. Charlene's got her contact info, and we were like, yo, we'll keep up, and like we were just talking about like the sites, like every student and stuff like that, and what she could do and stuff, and it was amazing. Like so afterwards we just like kind of like, she went back in, she says it was freezing. I was amazed that she even stood out that long.
Yeah.
Like we were chilling, we were freezing, and she was just like, she looked like she was freezing too. So after we walked away, we just like prayed for her, and yeah, that was an amazing job.
Woo!
Yeah, it was crazy.
Awesome. Should definitely follow up on that since we're
Yeah.
here the rest of the week.
Yeah.
I know. She said she'll be
Yeah.
here till Saturday too, and we found out what hotel she's staying in.
Hang out with a girl.
Yeah. Charlie should definitely catch up on her.
Yeah.
That's